Now that we have 5 complete suits of armor available in our academy, it's time to start making some matching accessories. Part of our long-term vision with Prince Armory Academy is to provide crafting instructions to enable anyone to create a complete adventurer look in whatever style they want. So to get things started, I'll be showing you how you can craft this leather headband and bracers from our Imperial Knight Series. Both make great accessories for your next fantasy or Ren Fair fit. This is going to be a beginner-friendly project with some intermediate tips and techniques as a bonus. These builds are very straightforward and easy to assemble. Now, the only tedious part of the build will be cutting out the parts because they have a lot of intricate shapes. But this is why we like to use laser cutters in many of our builds, especially for the Imperial Knight Series. To cut the parts for both of these projects, we will be using the WeCreat Vision Pro 45-watt tabletop laser. This was provided for us to use in the making of this video, and I will be using it for cutting and scoring. You'll see its autofocus, generous working area, and accurate overhead camera. It has a lot of great features like the auto pass-through as well as an optional rotary add-on. This machine is compact but powerful, not to mention intuitive and easy to set up. It's an excellent budget option as a first laser cutter for all kinds of small to medium projects. I know some people like to complain or cry foul saying it's not handmade when we use a laser, but it's just a tool, just like leather shears and X-Acto knives or sewing machines. This one just happens to save my hands a lot of hurt. If you don't believe me, just keep watching and see the handcrafted elements of the build yourself. For this build, I'll be using this panel of 8 to 9 ounce pre-cut leather provided by Weaver Leather Supply. The first thing I'll do is run a material test with the leather. The WeCreat program has presets for some leather, but not for the thickness we often use for our armor, which is generally between 7 to 10 ounces. But they do make it pretty easy to customize your own settings. So I used the preset range for the first material test, but I increased the rows to 10 by 10 for the first try. On the second try, I narrowed the range of the speed and power so I could get a more accurate idea of the best settings for both the etch and the cut. This range shows power in terms of percent. This is basically how much of its max capacity is being sent to the diodes. And this range shows speed in terms of millimeters per second, which is how fast the laser head can move. When you make these test grids, you'll find there's always a range of settings that will work. You just have to pick which one you think looks best. We tend to choose a power of 80 and lower to help preserve the life of the equipment. For the cut settings, I went ahead and used 14 millimeters per second for the speed and 80% for the power. Now we can go ahead and enter our custom settings. The internal camera on this laser allows for autofocusing at a click of a button. You don't even have to worry about plotting a grid, it's so easy to get started. WeCreat also offers a fume extractor, which is absolutely necessary if you can't vent outside. The inclusion of the built-in camera is a great quality of life feature because it allows you to preview your work area. This also helps you make sure your cut goes where you want so you can avoid wasting materials. Vegetable tan leather is thick, and lower-powered lasers will struggle, so it's nice to have the 45-watt base power along with the beam focus technology. It provides 60-watt-like cutting power to make cleaner and faster cuts. All lasers leave a little bit of char on the edges, but a quick bath and a little scrub with a scoring pad takes it right off. Plus, you need to wet and case your leather for tooling, so you're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. Another benefit to laser cutting is the ability to engrave leather to decorate it. One trick we use to get fast decorative lines is to just use the cutting function at a higher speed and lower power to gently score some of the guidelines. To score the decorative lines, I set my power to 33% and 88 millimeters per second for the speed. I'm going to keep the tooling pretty simple for this build. At this stage, I'm just carving the border around the edges for each piece. I highly recommend using a fine angled ceramic knife for this as these edges are quite thin and delicate. Take your time. You also don't need to carve super deep in this case. The angled ceramic blade will do most of the work. On the inside of the border, I'm using a texture tool to add some depth. I'm starting heavy around the edges and then softening it out into a gradient. For more advanced builds, I would normally bevel around the line we just carved first to really enhance the border, but we're just going to keep it simple. The end result will still be pretty striking. For a little extra flair, I decided to add a skull stamp to the center of the headband and the top of the bracers. As you can see, I'm not just hitting it hard once or twice. I'm actively hammering it around the top of the tool while gently rocking the edges of the stamp to ensure all the details are hammered into the leather. The extent to which you shape this is sort of optional, but with pretty much all of our armor, we recommend adding shape to individual pieces. It's what sets it apart from flat, lifeless armor. In this case, all you need is a smooth, curved surface like this domed anvil. The dome gives each piece a little more of a complex curve than just bending it will do. I gave all of the points a little bit of an upward bend, but you could let them lay flat too if you'd like. I'm using Headband's Pro Royal Blue dye as a base. I'm going to also add paint, so this is just going to be a quick dip and dry. For the finish, I'm using Weaver's Tough Coat to both seal and harden the pieces. I'm also dipping these and dabbing off any excess as I go. For the first painting stage, I'm using a pearlescent blue from Jacquard's Lumiere Acrylics. Using a small natural sponge, I'm just dabbing a thin layer of paint over the top and blotting the excess with a damp paper towel. For the next painting stage, I'm using black acrylic from Jacquard to create an antique to accent the textures. To do this, you only need a little paint thinned heavily with water to create a wash. I then dab the majority off with a damp paper towel. How much depends on how heavy you want your gradient. Amber was very interested in learning to do this as well. The lines we scored with the laser and carved earlier make the painting process much easier to get clean, sharp lines. For the final stage of painting, I'm using Molotow silver paint for the edges. It may seem tedious, but it's so satisfying and sharp when finished. And yes, I also decided the skulls needed a little love too. Assembly for both the headband and the bracers should be pretty straightforward. The key thing is to have the right size rivets. For the headband, small to medium rivets will work fine depending on how thick of leather you used. For the headband, I use small rivets with a little decoration on them because I like to be a little extra. I know not everyone has a rivet press, but doing these by hand should be pretty easy. Plus, it's great practice for beginners. For the center of the headband, you may need to use an awl to match the holes back up. Tooling the leather causes it to stretch. Thankfully, it also can be stretched back. And that's that on the headband. Use whatever ties you'd like on the back. I recommend a thin leather cord or a thin elastic. For the bracers, you want to start at the bottom. You'll need both medium and large rivets for these because the 4 middle holes goes through 3 layers of leather. You may need to use an awl again to stretch the holes back into place before inserting your rivets. Once all your rivets are set, you can force the shape a little better by pressing down on the top and sides. So some mistakes were made with these buckle straps. I found them to be too wide, too thick, and too bulky, especially with the buckles added. So I went into our pattern library and cut new straps quickly and easily using the WeCreat laser and their presets for some 3-ounce leather. These straps were just big enough to cover the pre-cut holes. Using a Sharpie, I marked the new location and punched new holes. You'd never know the other ones were there. Obviously, I recommend planning out your straps beforehand. That way you can properly plot your buckle strap holes. You can just delete these from the file before cutting if you want. As a side note, when attaching your buckle straps, make sure they mirror each other so you have a right and a left. And here's the finished result. With just a few basic techniques and a little attention to detail, you too can make your own. We have patterns available in our academy for these projects and so much more. And by the way, if you've already purchased the bundle, these patterns will already be available to you. This Imperial Knight theme was actually designed by Samuel many years ago to take advantage of the strengths of laser cutting. It features a lot of intricate design lines that separate it from more standard straight cut lines like you would see in the Fantasy series. You can look at it as a challenge to cut by hand and grow your skills in that regard, or you can laser cut it and save yourself some time and invest that energy into other details. Special thanks to WeCreat for their support with this video. The WeCreat Vision Pro 45-watt laser can greatly speed up your leather builds, giving you a shortcut to more advanced designs. That way you can focus your creative energy on tooling and decoration. Check out the description for the links for everything mentioned here. If you'd like to check out the other videos in the Imperial Knight series, click here. If you'd like to check out another build we think you'd like, click here. And please don't forget to subscribe to catch our next build. Thank you so much for watching.